Hannah Carmichael Chronicles Cold Steel. Hannah Carmichael reached blindly into her bag, fumbling around until she felt cold steel. Sudden movement to her left triggered a heart flutter, and she pulled out her gun, aiming it in the direction of uncertainty. The small slivers of light from the edges of the locked door weren't enough to see what else was in the small room. Cautiously, she took a step closer to the door and held her breath as she listened. Muffled voices on the other side seemed to get louder as she took another step closer. The sweat on her hands was loosening her grip on the gun, and she wiped her hands on her jeans. The next person to enter this room was going to get a bullet. Slowly, she reached into the bag again and felt around for her pocket knife. If she could just find it, she may be able to use it to pry open the door. As she wrapped her fingers around it, a smile crept onto her face, and she slung her small bag over her shoulder. Hannah lowered the gun to her side and moved towards the door, running her hands across the wooden arch to freedom for the doorknob. Her brows raised when she failed to find it, and she slowly lowered herself onto the ground with a sigh. She moved her hand over the small crack of light, searching for the hinge. 1, 2, 3. 3 bolts rested on the door's bottom hinge. Footsteps and voices behind the door began to get louder, and Hannah raised herself up and lifted her gun. The sound of her pocket knife dropping onto the concrete seemed deafening as she stood, waiting. Hannah glanced in the direction of the clatter, but only the darkness greeted her. Deadbolts being released echoed in the small room, and she counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She gripped the gun tighter and sucked in a quick breath. Hannah kept her gun steady and squinted as her eyes adjusted to the sudden burst of light behind the door. "Oh, please, put that away." The voice was cool and collected. Hannah moved backwards, blinking as she tried to see past a red blob, now walking towards her. Hannah cocked her gun and watched the blob pause, raising its hands. As her eyes adjusted fully, a smiling woman in a red dress came into focus. Hannah caught her breath. "Mother?" I hope you enjoyed the first installment of the Hannah Carmichael Chronicles. Keep an eye out for the rest. They're exclusive to the CGSP YouTube channel. See you in the adventures.